Chaps, good evening. Before we get underway, I'd like to issue a serious and heartfelt apology. In the press conference last week, I was balls deep in one of my hilarious gags about COVID when I realized I spent a lot of the conference searching for a Valentine. This was unacceptable, and I am sorry. Sorry that I used my time, this paid for by you, the British populace, to pursue my own romantic ends. And this week, I promise, absolutely, resolutely, that I will not mention or plug my Tinder, LinkedIn, J-Swipe, or Raya accounts. Thank you. Right. People of the UK about to unlock, ready with your cock? How are we? Very, very exciting news this week, chaps. For those of you who are still following lockdown, of course. The roadmap is coming out, à demand, which is very, very, very exciting. May surprise you to know, we haven't actually done any work on it yet. So we're going to need to workshop that stuff pretty fucking pronto, ASAP Rocky, ahead of tomorrow with your help. But we are obliged, obviously, to show you some stuff to do with the rotor. So here are some graphs. Get the graphs on the screen. There we go. Yeah, there's a graph. There's another graph. Keep going through the graphs. Yeah, graph. Great, lovely, cool. That's done. Lovely. So workshop. Let's fuck. Let's do this. Okay. Just to say at the top, I'm going to throw a load of ideas out there. There are no bad ideas, only Gavin Williamson ideas. And as you all know, as a bit of context, we're bringing back complimentary schools. I call them complimentary because they're free. I mean, obviously they're comprehensive schools, aren't they? Which, to be fair, is something I've always struggled with because, if anything, the education they offer is anything but comprehensive. I mean, it's incomplete. But anyway, that's something else to consider. Anyway, they're returning basically on the 8th of March. The R rate is very low. We're referring to it as Burko because it's tiny and insignificant. And we're going to allow, because of that, one other thing from the 8th of March to come back into play. And this is where we need your help, everyone who's watching on YouTube or wherever. So I'm going to present you with a few options. And yeah, I mean, because I think it's important to add other things to the agenda. Sorry, God, you can't say agenda anymore, can you, without getting cancelled by someone with blue hair? Anyway, it's important for mental health that we give you guys a treat. So here are the three options in essence for you to vote on. So this is what's sur la table, if you will. Okay, number one, option one, marriage. This is a picture of Blojo getting married to I mean, I've got no idea, and neither do you. But weddings, they're a nice extra, of course. But, love is fleeting. If you miss your wedding this time, you'll have loads of other weddings over the course of your life. So, it's probably not the biggest thing. Do we need weddings right now? I mean, if I wanted to watch people make empty promises to each other in grandiose settings, I'd turn on BBC Parliament. God, no. But the thing is, as well, I would say on that, if you're missing seeing brides on their wedding night, you can just visit pornhub.com, who are absolutely excellent. Option 2, share the picture. Thank you very much. Okay, so we've obviously looked at unlocking particular areas, needs to be Clapham, obviously. But then I thought, why not use the opportunity to like subvert this and lock up other areas, So, we unlock everywhere, and then we kind of lock up all the grotty, shitty places like, Harrow School, the rubbish universities, like everything in the North there, Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds. I had no idea Leeds was so close to Manchester. That's funny. Funny that. If you look at the map as well, if you sort of zoom in on Scotland there up at the top, you can see if you look at the islands, if you zoom in there, I actually own 3 of those, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, we can lock places up, go to the gross, London zones 2 to 6, 22 Harcourt Terrace, which is where my ex-girlfriend lives. She's fucking nightmare. Or lock up Wales, or do it based on race. Worth considering. I'm sorry. No, I've just been told by Poppy that race is not on the table. Categorically, race is not on the table. Apologies. Wales remains though, so that's something to consider. No, sorry about that. That was just look. As I say, it's an opportunity for free-flowing ideas. I'm a Steve Jobs at number 10. I'm riffing. I'm throwing some stuff out. It's a non-judgmental space. Occasionally, we say things that we don't necessarily believe in. We can't just look up BAME people, obviously, or any other race, unfortunately. I mean, I guess neither fortunately or unfortunately, I suppose. Fuck off. I'm apologizing. Fuck off. Anyway, you can't look up BAME people. And, I think that's a pretty undeniable fact. Okay, so number 3, coital visits. Mantra encounters, copulation congregations, or indeed rendezvous for senities. Oh my gosh, look at that. Tinder on the screen again. And I said at the top I wouldn't show it. That is so embarrassing. I think that's the 3rd week in a row now. God, look at that. That was ages ago, but it is undoubtedly a good shot. Goodness gracious me. My sincere apologies. That is so unprofessional. Look, obviously we're all meeting up to shag anyway. But at least if we voted for this, we wouldn't have to do it under the cover of darkness. Although to be fair, I mean, the cover of darkness can be very helpful if they're horrifically ugly, because then you don't have to see them, and then other people don't have to see them, and then take the piss out of you for having sex with them. So that potentially has something to say. Also, group sex is on the horizon if you vote for this option. So vote for this. Killing Kittens parties will return. Bully Patel loved the idea of that actually. But that's because she thought it was about slaughtering innocent kittens. But Blojo, of course, very, very keen. And, he'll be there taking center stage. Who's a lovely girl, as the case turns out. So in essence, that is definitely worth considering. The Queen is also particularly keen for coital visits at the moment, given that Prince Philip is currently trying it on with a Filipino nurse. So what I say to you is that it's actually your patriotic duty to vote for option 3 in many ways, because, coital visits can lead to marriage, which is obviously option 1. So really, this is like the Russian doll of 1 and 3. You open up 3 and then bam, you got 1 as well. So, And also, on the subject of marriage, this is something I made earlier of PM's girlfriend, CW wife, just there on classic, on her wedding night. Who knows if it'll be like that? I mean, who knows if it'll happen? Who knows if they'll actually, get married? A lot of women haven't got married to Blojo, but have been involved with him. But yeah, as you can see, stepbrother ruins bride before wedding. I mean, to be fair for Blojo, probably a better title would be, groom ruins vows before wedding. But that can all be arranged, and indeed will. By Blojo in due course. Chaps, really, this is very much up to you, basically. It's, a marry, avoid snog. I would say, in addition to posting your questions that you'd like me to answer towards the end of this conference in the YouTube chat box, do also make sure that you vote on this. So the options for this one, to bring back weddings, type for richer to vote for that, so for richer. For locking up ghastly places, type for poorer, obviously. And for sex, type in sickness and in health till spaff do us part, into that YouTube chat box. The vote, unlike Prince Philip in all likelihood, is now live. So fucking get in there and get it done. Keep voting, keep submitting those questions, and I shall endeavor to answer them as long as they are semantically up to scratch. Right, over to our friends in the media. Sophie Rayworth has a question, I believe.
Should we rule out get-togethers and getaways at Easter, for example?
Well, for example, what? I mean, it was also very blunt, Sophie. I mean, you asked me how I was. Fucking hell. I mean, it was very sly of you as well. Classic journalist tactic there, trying to make out, do I know what the answer is? Do I know what's going to happen over Easter? As I said at the start, Sophie, I haven't actually done any work on that. So, you're trying to make me look work shy and like I'm not doing my job, but actually I told you I hadn't done that, so I have done my job. So fuck you. But also, if you think about it, Easter, off the top of my head, Easter is about human sacrifice. So to get people meeting up at Easter And yeah, if you die from COVID, then you're kind of like the new Jesus. That's pretty cool. Okay, next question, I believe, is from Robert Armstrong from the Telegraph. Robert,
I'd just like to find out how cautious you intend to be.
Your microphone is absolutely shit, as well as your. That certainly wasn't received pronunciation either. Goodness gracious me, where were you educated? How cautious do I intend to be? Well, not incredibly cautious, mate. I mean, I'm not gonna live my life like Matt Cock in his hands, just weeping in fear. But yeah, obviously I'll ask her to use contraception the morning after. Philosophically, I don't believe in condoms really, but yeah, I mean, so there's definitely a level of caution. But yeah, I'm not going to go too far and tread the middle way, so I can continue to tread the middle way, so to speak. Next question is from Alistair Smoot from Reuters. Alistair.
Hi, Alistair Smout from Reuters. Thanks for this.
Whoa, mate. I introduced you as Alistair Smoot, okay? It sounded a little bit like you were chippily trying to one-up me there, old chap, okay? I introduced you as Alistair Smoot, you're Alistair Smoot, all right? So don't fucking be lippy with me. I mean, you're literally as insignificant to me as Prince Harry is to the Queen right now, so I'm not even, I just bye. I think we have another question. Sorry, no, India, we've got a question from my friends. Sorry, the general public. Who are my friends? I hasten to add, of course, I love you all, and I'm well acquainted. Sam from Bognor Regis for the question.
Sam here. Quick question for you, mate. What do you think of Harry and Meghan stepping down from the royal family?
Great. Yeah. Well, thanks for clarifying your name, Sam, which I already said to everyone. That's super helpful. Mate. Yeah, bruv, definitely. People keep peddling that narrative, don't they, that Meghan's pulling Harry away from his family and everything. But if I were Prince Harry and I was objectively a 2 out of 10, bumped up to a 7 because I'm a prince, and I was married to an absolute 12 out of 10, then I'd do whatever she, I would literally do whatever she said. I would give up my guaranteed place as prime minister, to just to get my crown jewels in her highness. God, I'm on fire today. I think fundamentally perfectly acceptable. Perfectly acceptable. David Bainbridge on YouTube has a question, and do keep submitting your questions on YouTube. I shall endeavour to answer them. David Bainbridge asks, I see the Tory party still leading the YouGov poll on voting intention. Begs the question, how much more incompetent do you have to be for Labour to get elected? Well, firstly, old chap, I'd like to draw attention to your use of begs the question, because of course there's two ways to take that. In the philosophical sense, begging the question that you've already assumed the conclusion of your argument before actually arguing for it, which I don't think you mean, but you probably ought to have clarified that when asking your question. Look, I don't think the question is how bad are we? I think it's how bad are Labour? I mean, firstly, I mean, they've chosen someone in charge, Keir Farmer and his army of donkeys, to sort of win back the working classes that they lost in the election just gone. And so to do that, they've chosen a barrister from Islington. I mean, it's absolute, at least we don't pretend to care about the working class. And I think that was really to our credit in that election. It was very candid, and they went for it. So old chap, we're doing well. Clearly you're a lefty. I think you guys need to be asking yourself some serious questions. Billy in Dubai. Gosh, how exotic, has a question. Billy.
Good evening, Rafe. Can you please tell me, what are your thoughts on a potential reshuffle in cabinet? Thank you.
Well, Billy, thanks very much, old chap. Can I just say, it looks fairly cold for Dubai this time of year, but thanks nonetheless. What do I think about the reshuffle? Good question. Well, I mean, we're certainly looking at sort of putting different people in other places. Am I looking to become a member of the cabinet? I'd be lying if I said no. I think I've got a lot of skills. I'm very good at making stuff up on the spot. And, I know a lot of people in the city, and I think fundamentally that's kind of all that you need. But yeah, we're looking to push people around. Govey is potentially going to be the health secretary, replacing Matt Cock in his hands, which is obviously a very exciting prospect for the NHS, particularly after how well he did with teachers. So we're all very pleased there. But fundamentally, I think there's a lot of good that can happen. I think if we can get Bully Patel in some sort of compassion role, that would be excellent. And but I wouldn't be surprised if you see me after these conferences as a member of the cabinet. So look out for that, chaps.
And Rafe,
hey, sorry, old chap, you had something more to say.
Follow on. With regards to getting other people in the cabinet, what would your kind of personal attributes that you'd be looking for be in new members?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Well, I think you seem like a jolly good chap. I mean, it fundamentally, how do you define what a good chap? I mean, you fundamentally seem like a good guy, right? So, I mean, do you have a lot of good chap mates from? I mean, you presumably privately educated. Is that?
Of course.
Yeah, right, exactly. So, I mean, that's a big tick, right? Straight away. Looking at you, it's like, you went to a good school. That definitely means a lot. And so the best thing about having gone to a good school is you've got loads of good mates, you've got loads of money. And if you fuck anything up, they can kind of help you out in that sense. So I think, fundamentally background, being well-heeled is a really important attribute. And the other thing I have to ask is, do you have any skeletons in the closet?
Myself personally, or that's what you would ask them?
Both incidentally, but I'd like to know if you have any.
Personally,
yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a subjective term, isn't it, Rafe? I mean, if we're talking about
yes, of course, yeah. So I'll take that as a yes. Thank you. Mate, that is basically testament to the fact that you're an absolutely classic chap. So if you've got some skeletons in the closet, and you clearly do, then you'd be absolutely excellent in the Tory party. So fundamentally, mate, yeah, let's connect on LinkedIn after this call. I'd love to see you, making your way. Maybe you could be my junior. You could work under me for a bit. Crikey, as Blojo said to a Telegraph journalist. But yeah, I think we'll connect, and that's all sounding great. Richard in Luton has a question. Richard.
Rafe, I thought about voting for option 2, which keeps good places open. But what if the rates rise there? Would you then close Fulham down?
Yeah, well, thank you very, very much for that question. For the non-Oxbridge graduates among you, option 2 was choosing to lock specific places up whilst the rest of the UK is allowed to flourish. So yeah, it's an interesting question that you raise. If Fulham gets super infected, what will we do? Well, I don't know if you've seen this week, NASA have actually landed on Mars, which is incredibly exciting. And I think there's tremendous scope there to potentially move Clapham or Fulham to Mars. I mean, there's evidence of there being seas on Mars, which could be like the Thames. And less gravity, so you bounce around all the time, feel like you're on Chang all the time, which is very appropriate if you're in Fulham or Clapham. So yeah, I think on balance that would be a credible solution. I'd be very happy to work with Elon Musk. I think he could learn a lot from me, and yeah, I think we could move things forward from there. So thanks very much for your question, Martin Main on YouTube, and do keep putting your questions in on YouTube. Martin Main asks, shag, marry, kill Manchetti, Koonsberg, and Hartley Brewer. Well, I mean, obviously Manchetti's pretty fucking wake, so it would have to be. I mean, avoid. I can't endorse killing. We wouldn't do that. Would endorse letting die. I mean, but not killing. Koonsberg, yeah, definitely shag Koonsberg. I mean, I've already shagged Hartley Brewer, so I'd probably have to be marry her. And Koonsberg, I've got a tricky relationship with Koonsberg, but obviously I find her very attractive. But at the same time, she's a Scot, and it's never quite sure how much her allegiance actually lies to the Conservative Party. But then that makes her more attractive. So it would have to be those three. If indeed you've got any ideas about or want to know about who I might want to shag, marry, or avoid in politics, Anne Widdecombe, Theresa May, and Arlene Foster, do submit those, because they're always fucking good fun. Jasmine from Edinburgh has a question. Jasmine.
Hi. Is there anything you can do about shops in Edinburgh not selling alcohol past 10 p.m? Like, can you change that or like get rid of that little law? It's a bit inconvenient. So
yeah, thanks, Jasmine. Well, listen, I think you also sound like you're well heeled, and can I just say, what an absolute pleasure it is that we are clearly operating an income bracket on this call. It's really nice to. Just to keep the riffraff out, because they just lower the tone for everyone. So no, but that's really nice. It's an important question you raise, and I think fundamentally, there are definitely ways to get around it. I've got quite a few mates who I'm sure could sell you stuff illegally in bulk, but because you're the right kind of chapette, that won't be a problem. So basically my advice, don't worry about breaking the law that much if you're posh, and you are, and that's great. So fundamentally, just live your life and find a way to get alcohol. But I mean, you're a student. I imagine you probably aren't sticking to the rules anyway.
I mean, it's tricky because I want to stock up on alcohol, but I just can't. I can't get round to it. So I've got a lot on my plate at the moment, obviously.
Oh yeah, fuck off, students. Oh, I've got a dissertation to write in 4 weeks. Fucking bollocks. What are you studying?
I'm doing maths and philosophy, so I've got to juggle the two.
Maths and philosophy. That's like half of. Well, it's like a third of PPE, isn't it? It's not quite PPE, but that's interesting. Thanks very much. Let's get a Rafe from Clapham. Rafe from Clapham has a question. Rafe.
Hi, Rafe. Given how incredibly important a job these special advisors have done throughout this pandemic, can you tell us how they'll be rewarded once this is over? Thanks very much. Connect soon. Cheers. Ciao.
Well, firstly, what a great question. And can I just say, what a handsome questioner. It's really great to see such a high quality of people on this call. I have to say, historically, it hasn't been the case. But let me say, Rafe, big fan. Let's connect after this. No, look. It's not for me. It's not for me, a lowly special advisor, to advise that advisors are recognized. But your question very clearly implies that there is a want for that in the public domain. So, it will be remiss of me, as a lowly special advisor, or perhaps not so lowly, to stand in the way of that. I'm Rafe Hubris, BA OXON. And whilst I don't want to become Rafe Hubris, BA OXON, CBE, some of my colleagues and the general public might want that. And I can't emphasize enough, I do not want a knighthood. And I would very, very possibly say no to one. I wouldn't, but I would consider it. And that's really worth bearing in mind. But yeah, people may riot if I don't get one. So also worth considering. Lucy in Clapham has a question. Lucy.
Rafe, I was wondering if you've had the vaccine yet?
Thanks very much for that, Lucy. I hope everyone heard that. Yeah, no one heard it. And again, Lucy from Clapham has a question. Lucy.
Rafe, I was wondering if you've had the vaccine yet?
Yes, Lucy from Clapham, the old flame from last week. Very good to see you. Sorry I haven't replied to your text. Listen, for those of you that were watching last week, Lucy was the gal that we got in an Uber Lux to come round. But don't worry, Lucy, I have had all my shots, all my vaccination. Yeah, everything's fine. Yeah, I'm not carrying anything except for the massive member I'm packing, obviously. So yeah, no cause for concern. Maybe we should go for a coffee at some point. Yeah, that would maybe be great. Okay. Trevor in Luton has a question. Trevor.
Rafe, my question's about hunting. When will that be allowed?
Yeah, interestingly enough, there are two ways to read this question, aren't there? The coital option, obviously. Although, if you mean that in the sense of sport, that's not different, is it? But if you're talking about dogs chasing things, that's the same. Fundamentally, we'll bring it back soon. That's what I have to say. Do keep putting your questions in the chat box. Billy has a question. Billy from Basingstoke with a question.
Yes, Rafe, can you please tell me what your
A billion Dubai. Sorry, old chap. Sorry, go ahead. It's you again. Coming back twice, coming back for seconds, like Blojo. Lovely.
You're hypnotized, Rafe. It's okay. It's only natural. It's us public school boys distracting each other with our ruthless charm. Basically,
right,
Rafe,
there's no need to waffle on. Come on, get your question.
Takes one to know one, Rafe. Basically, what I'd like to say to you is, can you give me your thoughts on the Priti Patel bullying scandal, and if you have any kind of inside scoop, basically, and whether you feel that she would be able to bully you, or if in fact you could bully her?
Yeah, well, Billy, thank you for your question about bullies. Very, very good. Yeah, as a public school chap, we all know very, very much about bullying. It's a fundamental part of development as a human being, and without it, it makes people weak and pathetic. So, obviously, the question that we'd all ask, looking at Bully Patel beating up civil servants, is, did she bully them enough? And perhaps not. Perhaps she should have been tougher. And I will say that to her. So, Billy, you've got to go for them a little bit more. Because fundamentally, is it even bullying? I mean, I look at it and I just sort of think it's just classic, So yeah, could Bully Patel bully me? To be honest, she's too distracted, flashing Matt Cock and his head down the toilet, and just absolutely terrorizing people who are several feet taller than her. I mean, she's absolutely fucking. She's like yay high. She's like 5'2", and she's fucking terrifying. But no, she's doing a great job, and we're very proud of everything she's doing. Will what from Cardiff?
Hey.
Will from Cardiff. Clearly not good enough for a full second name. Just an individual letter for his second name. Will.
Hello. Obviously, the government are dealing with a lot of specialised issues at the moment, and I was just wondering if anyone in the government is qualified. End of question.
Sorry, you're wondering if the government is qualified. Was that your question?
End of question. Yeah, that's it.
End of question. Oh, okay, right. Thanks for stressing it was the end of the question. Is the government qualified? Well, mate, I think you're kind of over-egging the importance of qualification. I think the first rule of politics and the first rule of being successful at anything is if you don't know, just make it up. And fundamentally, we are able to make things up incredibly well, incredibly coherently, and with a lot of speed. And if you can do that, then no one will ever find out that you're not qualified. But I think we've all had enough of experts. What do they know? So fundamentally, probably no, but also like. So thanks very much. Keep asking your questions in YouTube. Martin asks, he says, has Big Daddy Cum Cum been to number 10 recently? I take it you're referring to Big Daddy Cum Cum, i.e. Dominic Cummings, rather than the stripper we got for Bully Patel a couple of weeks ago, who has taken on that name. No, Big Daddy Cum Cum has not been back to number 10 since the flat white waterboarding incident, which led to his departure when Carrie, Princess Nut Nuts, as he called her, and I crucially don't because she might savage me. They fell out. She waterboarded him with a flat white, and it was very nasty. It was very upsetting to watch. The last I heard of Dom was that he was trying to rewrite the Percy Jackson story in ancient Norse using like Morse code, which obviously means nothing to anyone, but for him, he thought it was really exceptionally important for the foundations of epistemology in the world. Sasha from Brighton has a question. Sasha.
Hi, Rafe. I was just going to ask, what's your view that Matt Hancock's been found guilty in court of giving dodgy PPE contracts early on in the pandemic? What do you think about that?
Well, thanks very much for that, Sasha. Well, two things. I have three things, actually. Firstly, PPE, just for everyone who's confused, does not refer to philosophy, politics, and economics, which is the degree I got from when I was at Oxford. That is something completely different, arguably more important, but crucially different. PPE stands for personal protective equipment, which unfortunately we only realized was important about 3 months into the pandemic, which was, you know, pretty bloody quick, I would say. Has Matt Cock in his hands been found guilty? No, he hasn't, actually. He hasn't been found guilty. He's been found to have acted unlawfully because he didn't actually publish contracts that he'd been giving out to his mates. He hasn't been found guilty of giving out contracts to his mates because that's absolutely fine. I mean, the judges are made fundamentally. You know, he's a great chap. And the thing that we have to remember is, how would you ever do anything if you didn't prioritize your mates first? So that's, I think, you know, there should be an inquiry into commending him on that. The issue is that, you know, he's a little bit sloppy with his paperwork, but, you know, he spent a lot of time crying for, you know, those first 4 months, and said, you know, he was never going to have time to do all that admin. So I think on balance, he's actually done quite well. We give him a lot of shit, but he's actually done pretty well there. Okay, the votes are in, and it's pretty surprising, chaps, I have to say, because 72% of you have voted to lock up specific areas, most notably Harrow School. I really thought it was going to be shagging, but apparently you're all a bunch of absolute wetties as far as that goes. Or you don't mind breaking the law in order to shag. That said, I mean, what I said earlier on in terms of you being posh doesn't really matter if you break the law. Probably stuck with a lot of you. So that's fabulous. We will make sure that we enforce that for you tomorrow, as well as the other details. Harry from Lucen has a question, I believe. Harry.
Hello, Rafe. Lockdown's been pretty tough, particularly on people in their 20s. How do you intend on thanking us for following the rules?
Well, thanks very much for that, Harry. And let me stress how important that is, because fundamentally, you know, people in their 20s have made the ultimate sacrifice, you know, with this pandemic. They have stopped themselves from drinking and shagging indiscriminately. Well, in some cases anyway. And you know, we intend on prescription, given Michael Cake's involvement. But yes, absolutely essential to prioritize those chaps. Chris Powell on YouTube has a question and asks, he says, post-Brexit, I'm worried about movements of Special K into the UK. Can the government assure me I'll still be getting my nutritious breakfast? Oh, chap, I can assure you that you will be getting nutritious ketamine as your breakfast every day. We will be prioritizing ketamine as well as grade 8 shag on the NHS. And that is absolutely a non-negotiable. And whatever happens with Brexit, I mean, I don't know, but whatever happens with it, we will not sacrifice the ketamine. Because as anyone who takes drugs knows, it is absolutely essential for a come down. Chaps, it's been an absolute pleasure as ever. I will be back next week for the 6th of these Rafe Hubris alternative press conferences. Do visit rafehubris.com in the meantime to get reminders for next week. And if you'd like to ask me a question as well, add that website to your life experience. Thank you very much, chaps. See you later. Ciao.